In Greek mythology, a single decision by one mortal prince changed the course of history, leading to the legendary Trojan War. This decision, known as the Judgment of Paris, was the moment when the Trojan prince Paris was asked to determine which of three goddesses was the fairest: Hera, Athena, or Aphrodite. What Paris didn't realize was that this choice would unleash chaos, fury, and a war that would last for 10 long years. Today, we dive into the story of the Judgment of Paris, how Hera, the queen of the gods, offered him power, and how his decision ultimately set the stage for the Trojan War. The story begins with a wedding, the marriage of Peleus, a mortal hero, and Thetis, a sea goddess. All the gods and goddesses were invited to this grand event, except for one, Eris, the goddess of discord. Angered by her exclusion, Eris devised a plan to create chaos at the celebration. She threw a golden apple among the guests, inscribed with the words, "To the fairest." 3 goddesses stepped forward, each claiming the apple as their own: Hera, the queen of the gods; Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war; and Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. Unable to settle the matter themselves, they turned to Zeus, the king of the gods, to decide which of them was the fairest. But Zeus, knowing the potential disaster that could result from choosing one goddess over the others, cleverly passed the decision to someone else, a mortal prince named Paris. Paris, the young prince of Troy, was living in exile as a shepherd on Mount Ida. Unknown to him at the time, he was the son of King Priam of Troy, but a prophecy had foretold that he would bring about the downfall of the city, so he had been sent away as an infant. One day, Hermes appeared before Paris, bringing with him the 3 goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, and the golden apple. Paris was tasked with choosing which of the goddesses was the fairest. But this was no simple beauty contest. Each goddess offered Paris a tempting bribe, hoping to sway his decision in her favor. First to make her offer was Hera, the queen of the gods. Hera was not just the goddess of marriage, but also the protector of kings and rulers. She offered Paris something that few mortals could resist: power and dominion over all of Asia. If Paris chose her as the fairest, Hera promised to make him the greatest king on earth, ruling over vast lands and countless people. Hera's offer of power was tempting, especially for a young man who had grown up in exile. But Paris hesitated. Perhaps he feared Hera's fiery temper or the consequences of aligning himself with her too closely. Hera, as the queen of the gods, was accustomed to getting her way. But when Paris looked beyond her offer of power, her fury began to simmer. She was used to being revered and obeyed, and the idea that a mortal prince might refuse her was a deep insult. But for now, she held back her anger and waited for Paris's decision. Next was Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and warfare. She offered Paris a different kind of reward: unmatched wisdom and guaranteed victory in battle. With Athena's guidance, Paris would become an invincible warrior and a brilliant strategist, able to lead his people to countless victories and bring glory to Troy. For a moment, the idea of becoming an unbeatable warrior must have been appealing to Paris. But once again, he hesitated. While Athena's offer was grand, Paris found himself drawn to a different kind of prize. Finally, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, made her offer. Unlike Hera and Athena, who offered power and victory, Aphrodite promised Paris something far more personal: love. She offered him the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Helen was already married to King Menelaus of Sparta, but Aphrodite assured Paris that she could make Helen fall in love with him. Captivated by the idea of possessing such a beautiful woman, Paris made his fateful decision. He chose Aphrodite as the fairest of the goddesses, accepting her bribe of love over Hera's offer of power and Athena's promise of wisdom. When Paris handed the golden apple to Aphrodite, declaring her the fairest, Hera's anger erupted. To be passed over by a mere mortal was an insult she would not soon forget. From that moment on, Hera became an enemy of Paris and, by extension, the city of Troy. Hera's fury was not just about personal pride, it was about power. She had offered Paris the chance to rule the world, but he had chosen love instead. Hera's anger would later manifest in her role during the Trojan War. She became one of the driving forces behind the eventual destruction of Troy, using her influence to support the Greeks against Paris and his city. Hera wasn't the only goddess to hold a grudge. Athena, too, felt slighted by Paris's decision. Both goddesses aligned themselves with the Greeks during the war, fueling the conflict and ensuring that Paris and Troy would suffer for his choice. Aphrodite kept her promise. Paris traveled to Sparta and met Helen, the wife of King Menelaus. The two fell in love, and Paris took Helen back to Troy. This abduction, whether willing or not, sparked the outrage of Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon, who rallied the Greek forces to lay siege to Troy. The judgment of Paris, a decision made in the midst of divine rivalry, set off a chain of events that would lead to one of the most famous wars in history, the Trojan War. And behind it all, Hera's jealousy and anger played a crucial role, as she worked to bring about the fall of the city that had dared to defy her. Thanks for joining us as we explored the story of the Judgment of Paris, a tale of beauty, power, and the consequences of mortal choices. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more about the gods, heroes, and legends of Greek mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more mythical content.